Hey everyone. Hello and happy Saturday. My goodness, it has been a week. I think you can tell my facial hair shows that it's been a full week. Goodness. We've got a couple friends in the chat already. Hello, Karen. And I don't know her first name, but Under a Pile of Papers is one of the best names that I've seen for a username in a very long time. So hello, Papers. Sherry is here from cold and snowy Breckenridge. The snow's got to go at some point, right? I guess in Colorado, though, you never know. And then we've got Judy. Hello. We have had weather here. It has been so up and down. I'm in the Chicagoland area. Storms throughout the week, lots of rain, but like warm during the day, cooling off quite significantly at night. Like I'm waking up in the morning and it's in the 40s, and then it's getting to like the upper 70s, lower 80s during the day, but then like scattered chances of rain throughout. So just something. But my goodness, I'm glad to see that everybody is here and hopefully having a great weekend. Under a Pile of Papers is Benita. It's a great channel name. I agree. I think that's fantastic. I'm going to have to remember that. So Benita. So I'm going to have to kind of ingrain that into my head. That pile of papers is Benita. So absolutely. Oh, Beverly's from San Diego. My goodness. Oh, San Diego is like, I think my favorite city in the US, honestly. I like to joke that Orlando sometimes pushes ahead, but that's just because of theme park purposes, not because of the actual other things, I guess. But San Diego is one of my favorites. Oh, you see Judy all over the place. It really is nice to see a friend in the Chicago area. Hello and thanks for being here. And from Sweden, Benita, my goodness. So it's definitely later in the day for you. I am heading to, not Sweden, we're heading to Europe next month for a long weekend, which is a little interesting. It's our first time going to Europe for like less than a week. So I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to go. We're going to be in London. So not Sweden at all, but definitely closer to you. So I hope everyone is having a fantastic Saturday. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on this week and what projects of mine you may have seen and how that's going to continue out into the live as well. So most notably, and what this live is sort of themed after, Catherine Pooler had their trail mix earlier this week on Wednesday. What I love about Catherine Pooler's releases is that it's like a full release that's themed. It's pattern paper, it's multiple stamp sets, it's die sets. It's usually some sort of an embellishment that'll work with what's going on too. And if we're lucky enough, which we were for this time, you're also going to get an ink color that's going to come with it. And I'm such a sucker for my Catherine Pooler inks. So we are definitely going to have some fun with ink today. And I'm realizing I didn't get a standard size acrylic block. I've got like a mini one that I don't think is going to cut it. So I'll probably have to go run and grab that, but that's okay. All right. We've got Deanna from Santa Cruz. And then, yeah, okay. So Benita says it's 8 in Sweden. Absolutely. Hello, Marianne. And then we were in the basement twice yesterday with the severe weather. Oh, Tiffany, I'm so sorry. Hope everything's okay in your home and in your area. It's never that fun. So all right. So getting into the Catherine Pooler release. So the Trail Mix release kind of has some different vibes that are going on depending on how you want to interpret it and what products that you're interested in. I was lucky enough to get the Wilderness Collector series. And so I'm going to show you guys that in a minute, which definitely gives you kind of like Boy Scout, Girl Scout badge vibes. But there's also camping if you want to like have some fun with that. But what I'm going to kind of lay into today is another layer that I think comes with the Trail Mix set, and that is leaning into just sort of the travel national parks vibe of it. And it's all with how you want to interpret it. So we're going to kind of have some fun with like, if you're familiar with the company Pendleton, I have a little bit of inspiration from them with my color scheme that we're going to use. And also too, when it comes to the Catherine Pooler releases, there's usually a suggested color palette that comes along with it. Not necessary, just sort of a guideline. And it's fun to use that as kind of like an entry into the product. But then when you get like familiar with it, coming up with your own sort of ideas for what you want to do. So I came up with a kind of unique color palette, sort of built off of the color palette today that is recommended with the Trail Mix pattern paper. So, all right. So I think I kind of covered the basics. What else is going to be coming up? If you are a Kindred Stamper, our Kindred Stamps April release is coming a week from yesterday. So it's coming on Friday. That means if you're in the Facebook fan club, check the fan club starting tomorrow for release sneaks. Release sneaks always start the Sunday before. So we're going to definitely have some fun. There are some really great stamp sets coming out this month. So I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with that. And yes, Eva, or Deanna, Pendleton as in Wool Mills. Yes. So like that sort of print, they actually have, or I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have a whole like national parks collection. So we're going to go ahead. Let's flip over and start talking about the product and what we're going to be doing today. So as we have it flipped over, let's pull in the stamp set that we're going to be using today because we're going to be talking about making our own pattern paper. So this is that collector badge or wilderness collector, I apologize, stamp set I was talking about. And it does come with a coordinating die set, which I of course have snipped apart and it's all ready to go for later. I don't think I'll be using the coordinating dies today. I think we're going to just be kind of focusing on stamping and that's okay. We're also going to be pulling in the new tufted cover plate die. We're just going to utilize it for a little bit of background use. There's not going to be too much going on with that. And that's also okay. Just kind of wanted to use a little bit of the stitching and talk about that as well. I also am pulling in some older product for today's card. We're going to be using, this is the scripted wordy sentiments. So we're going to play around with this today. And then I've got the note card postage die. So if you tuned in last week, we did a little bit with postage stamps. And I guess that theme is going to just kind of carry into a little bit of this week as well, but with a new vibe, new theme. Lots of fun with it. I do have all of the products we're using today linked down below. They are affiliate links. So if anything I'm using today does inspire you to go get your shop on, I'd love if you took a moment to, of course, utilize those links. It comes at no additional cost to you, and it does help support me and as an artist. So, all right, so let's go ahead and dive into what we're going to be doing. And I don't think today's live is going to be as lengthier as some of our past ones. I think it's going to be a little on the shorter end, and I think that's totally okay. So let me go in. Let's see. Let's just kind of see if I can get a little bit more light. I think we're getting there. All right. Perfect. I don't know where that shadow must be coming from my cup. All right. So these are what we're going to be playing with today. And let's talk about the colors that I've pulled. And I pulled them all in the form of the Catherine Pooler ink pads. Doesn't mean we're going to be using all of the inks, but I think that the colors of the ink pads themselves give you a great idea for visualizing color palettes. So we're going to be using the brand new Getaway ink, but we're also going to be pulling in some vibes of Orange Twist, Catching Rays, and we're going to pull in Martini, and we're also going to pull in Aquatini. And I thought that this would kind of give kind of Pendleton vibes, but also Pendleton usually lays into some natural tones as well, such as like creams or grays. Not really using a lot of that today, and I think that's totally fine. But we're going to also, I think this gives a nice summery sort of palette as well. So what we're going to start off with is just a little bit of preparation. We're going to kind of build up towards the end of the card. So let's talk about what the theme of this live is, and that's about making your own pattern paper. And what we're going to do for this is I do have to grab a quick acrylic block over on my desk. And what we're going to do is we're going to utilize that Wilderness Collector stamp set and use it with the Getaway ink on creamsicle paper to make our own pattern paper. And it's a lot easier than you would think. And all we're going to do this is let's go ahead and pull out that Wilderness Collector stamp set. And we're just going to kind of pick the stamps that we want to see on here. So I'm going to start with this one that says Let's Explore. And I'm just going to ink this up using the Getaway ink. And then I'm just going to stamp it directly onto our paper. I think it's a really pretty color collection as well. I kind of was inspired by some of the suggested colors, but I wanted to put a little bit of a different spin on it, put a little bit more vibrancy into the collection. So that's what we did. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to stamp out this Let's Explore. Just like that. And as you can see, we get that nice impression of that Getaway ink on top of the creamsicle that makes it a little darker. Hello, Kristen. Thanks for stopping by today, friend. You've been so wonderful, and I think you've like not missed a live stream yet. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. So what we're also going to do, let's stamp this out one more time for this Let's Explore. I just kind of want to stamp these in a way that I'm kind of leaving space that other stamps can go in between and kind of changing the orientation. So, all right, so we've got our Let's Explore. And let's move on to another one. Let's do the Stay Wild, which is a really fun circular stamp that has a canoe and oars on it. And I think that this is really a fun stamp. What's also really fun about this, and I'll show you guys some of the cards I made with these stamp sets later. These are really fun to color up with alcohol markers or watercoloring. So I definitely say go ahead and utilize it for that if you have a chance. And I'll show you some examples of that later. So we're going to go with the Stay Wild. I'm going to stamp it up here. And I think we're just going to stamp that out once. And trying to kind of change up how it gets stamped, what orientation. Circles are different because you can't really mess a circle up. It's always going to kind of be aligned appropriately because it's a circle. So you're so kind, Kristen. I appreciate that very much. All right, so let's go in. This next one says Shine Like the Stars. And this is my second favorite stamp of the set. I'll show you what my favorite one is next. Hello, Megan. Oh, you've got a class coming up. Thank you so much for stopping by. You've had a busy morning. I saw that you already ran a race this morning, and my goodness, you're busy. And I saw you did really well, so congratulations on how you did on your run. All right, so we're going to stamp this out that says Shine Like the Stars. Just right down there. Just kind of clean it off, put it back. And then we're going to go in next with my favorite stamp, and it says coffee, or first coffee, then adventure. And I feel like that's kind of like the perfect tone of any sort of adventurous day, you know, especially if you're loving your coffee. I love that in the crafting community, there's a whole like group of us that are suckers for any brand new coffee products that come out. Like, I feel like anytime something new and trendy coffee related happens, it's like popular, people love it. I also too, I like to talk about my husband works for the big coffee company, and I always like to just sort of grab any new coffee products in case I need to help them to make for him for work or something. So you never know. All right, so we're going to stamp out this first coffee, then adventure. And it's okay if you've got some what I would call larger gaps, because this stamp set does have a couple detail stamps that are included, and those can kind of help fill in some of these gaps as well. Now, also what I want to point out is as we're stamping, if you've noticed, I've stamped a handful of these off the paper. Excuse me. So let's go in. Just gonna go in a little bit. And do you see how they are not like all contained within the paper, that they're kind of stamped where they are kind of around and goes off the edge? And that kind of helps give that really good vibe about what we want our papers to look like. Let me see if I can get a little bit more light going on. Why is this not? There we go. That's better. A little bit more shadow, but that's okay. You guys can get a little bit more light in there. All right, so let's go in next. Let's stamp out, the one that says Adventure Seeker. We'll do that next. This is the big one, and this one has to be put on kind of special because it's so large. And I'm going to see if that'll fit. Will that fit kind of right in the center? Oh, just barely, but it does. And it's honestly going to get covered up pretty decently, so that's okay. All right, so I'm going to clean that one off, and then let's finish off. What are we going to do? I think I'm going to go back to the coffee one since I love it so much, and I'm going to use that to kind of fill in a gap. Just like that. That one did overlap a little bit. That's okay. I think we'll be pretty set with that. And then I think I can get like a couple arrows in, and let's finish off with those. And I just think that, like, even when we can buy papers, it's really important when we get stamp sets like this to go ahead and utilize those patterns that are included with your stamp sets if you can create your own sort of prints. That's exactly what I want to just do with this. So we're just going to kind of go in with this arrow, add a couple bits. I don't think it's going to work anywhere really else. Like that. That's pretty good. Okay, I'm proud of myself for getting it in there. All right. I think we can do one more. Perfect. And let's do right there. And I think that's about it. I think we did a pretty good job. All right, so we've got this already. And see, today I'm kind of fighting the daylight. My den, which is where my studio is, gets some really good natural light. And because of how the weather's been kind of up and down and cloudy, it's kind of been a little all over the place. So it's been making these lives kind of interesting, but that's okay. So, all right, so we've got this all ready to go for our background. And then what we can do now is I want to do a little bit of splatter. So I'm going to go in, we're going to dab some of that getaway ink. It's a little, that's a little too light for my liking. So instead, let's go in with some orange twist, and we'll do that instead because that's nice and dark. All right, so I've got that. We'll just kind of splatter it. And I'm actually going to go in and use some orange twist shimmer as well. So we're going to do that next. And just by splattering, it's going to give us a little bit of that extra shimmer and shine that I think really is helpful with doing these projects. All right, let's see. Next, let's do that shimmer. And so this is going to be the orange twist shimmer. There are 5 colors of shimmer currently out. I'm using 2 of them today. First is this orange twist, and then I'm going to be pulling in Lime Ricky later. What's really nice about them is that they're part of the Farm Fresh bundle, that you can get a bundle if you like these colors of these 2, so orange twist and Lime Ricky, but you can also get Party Dress, and if you want all 3, you can get them at a discount. And I do have that bundle linked down below. It is still in stock, so What I love about the shimmer is that it does exactly what its name is, and it adds shimmer to your project. What's great about it is you don't have to just splatter. That's usually what I lean towards doing. You instead could use them as like a watercolor. I've seen some great videos on the Catherine Pooler Instagram page about showing how you can utilize these to like watercolor over your inks, and I just think they look really pretty. So we've got this all ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this aside so it can dry a little bit better. So I've got that to the side. Let's do a quick little cleanup. And then I also want to do a little bit of splattering onto this panel as well. And I'm just realizing right now that I've got to kind of pop out that one circle just like this. And let's see, am I able to zoom out a little bit? Perfect. All right. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to take some of that martini ink and kind of repeat what we just did about smushing it off, letting it down, and then splattering it. But I just want to make sure I get my brush all nice and clean. And then after we do our martini ink, we are going to do some Lime Ricky shimmer. So I think that's going to work really nicely. And if anyone has any questions about anything thus far, just let me know. I am here to help. So just going to kind of splatter that just like this. All right. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra detail. I really love how this is turning out. I also love today that like with using Catherine Pooler cards and products, they really lend themselves to be able to come up with some quicker dies and quicker projects that you don't have to feel like you're spending all day working on. And I think that that's an important quality for a project. So just because sometimes we can't spend hours and hours making a card, sometimes we just need something quick. Okay, so Kristen, what a shimmer is. So it says shake well, mix with a few drops of CP inks. I'm going to read the description before I tell you a little bit about how I use them. Mix with a few drops of CP ink refills on a craft mat for shimmering watercolors, or add to water in a mister to create your own shimmer sprays. Perfect for painting, splattering, and more. Now, I don't know specifically if it's like a mica product or not, but what it is it's like a liquid. It almost kind of looks like an ink refill, but it's not. And it's got a very shimmery sort of pearlescent quality to it. And what it does is you can use it in those different ways. I like to splatter it, but you can add it to your watercolor. I guess you could add it to your own and make a spray out of it as well. And that's a great sort of way to utilize these products. They're not super expensive. I think that they are $6 or $7.99 each, but then you're able to use it for a really long time. Like I've had these for like 2 months now. I've used them in a handful of projects, and like I've maybe used 10 to 20% of this jar or this little bottle. So it's definitely cool. I'm hoping there are more that get added to the collection, but there are 5 currently. And then no, this is not felt, Yvonne. This is a piece of cardstock. This is actually Martini cardstock. So I'm using all Catherine Pooler cardstocks today, and this Martini color coordinates with the ink color. It looks a little different, I suppose, but I never go by what the color on the ink pad is. The ink itself is usually a little different, and that's going to be for any color for any brand you're working with. So what we're going to do is my little brush is like on an angle. That's funny. And I'm just going to kind of splatter some of this Lime Ricky shimmer onto our card panel. Now, one thing to take into account, so this is the tufted cover die, and it does cut out these little circles in the middle that you're going to see a color, or you're going to see through to whatever underneath. So I will show you guys the card samples I have, because I've layered color cardstock underneath it to really make those colors underneath pop. But for this card today, everything actually is going to be covered for where those circles are. So we don't have to worry about a backer piece of sorts. So this brush, I think, might have seen the end of its days, because I can feel that it is not going to be around very longer. Oh my goodness. I guess I use and abuse my my poor watercolor brushes a little too much. My goodness. Hello, Stacy Lou. Hope you're having a great day, and thanks for being here. So we've got this already, and of course we want to set this aside to dry as well. I don't want to really have to I don't want to have to take my heat gun out. I don't like doing that because I usually think that heat guns sort of change how things dry. So we're gonna try our best to avoid them. All right, next let's go in and I've got one more piece using Catching Ray's cardstock, and I'm just trying to figure out. I do think what do we want to do? I think I'm just gonna ink blend with this, and I'm gonna ink blend using some orange twist. And let's see, I'm going to grab a different blending brush. Let's grab this one. Just grab my small Simon Hurley brush. And I actually got a new ink pad holder that I think we could utilize. Let's go ahead and do that. So put this nicely into place. I just got this in the mail. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and just sort of distress the edge of this. All right, so we're just going to kind of go in and blend those edges of the orange twist ink onto the Catching Ray's cardstock. Just like that. I'm just going to kind of keep going in. All right. Oh, mail delivery. Got to turn my phone off for that. Sorry, y'all. If you are a Disney fan, specifically Disney World, you might recognize my text tone. Hello, Carmen. Hope you're having a good day. I haven't ever actually used felt in a project. I know you can with dyes. I just haven't. All right, so we've got this. Let's see. Let's do a little more splattering with our orange twist. You know, y'all know I like to do some ink splatters. All right. So this release was super fun because, like I said, there were a lot of different ways to interpret the trail mix vibes. And like I said, this Wilderness badge set, no, it's called Wilderness Collector. I apologize. They look like badges. Definitely gives me like scout vibes where you have to like collect your badges, have them sewn onto like your vest or your sash or whatever the word may be. I apologize. I was not a scout. Um, and I think that they're just really fun for that. You also can lean into those camping vibes. You also can just lean into just general outdoors adventure vibes. And I really like the travel vibes when it comes to this set. I think it's super, super fun. So, what we're going to do today is the one thing about this set is I like that they all kind of have their own sentiments, and we definitely could have just like utilized one of them on our card. And I'm realizing I wouldn't be able to do that anyway, and that's okay. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to utilize, we're going to do a sentiment that just says thanks that we're going to put layered on our center of our panel. And it's going to just be super, super easy to use, super just like scripty, fun, and who doesn't need a good thank you card in their stash, you know? So what we're going to do is I'm going to take some tweezers and we're just going to stack these two. So I die cut this thanks. This is from, it is the scripted sentiment set. It's linked down below. There's 3 sentiments. There's thanks, congrats, and hello. And I've just gone ahead and I've die cut the thanks twice. Once from Aquatini cardstock and once from the favorite cardstock in white. And so we're just going to stack them right on top of each other, but kind of offsetting the Aquatini a little bit so that it's got a white shadow, which I think is a good way to use it. So we're going to go in. I'm just going to add that liquid adhesive to the back. I always like to talk about layering or stacking your dies because some dies, especially like this, and like I love word dies. I like word dies the most when they come with like an outline piece just because it makes it easier to handle. And some of them don't, and that's totally okay, like this set. And I still love how everything looks. Um, Jamie's on her way to pick up pizza. That sounds delightful, Jamie. I might have to get pizza later because we had pizza for dinner the other night and it was fine. We don't really have a pizza place directly near my house that like I love. Any of my favorite pizza places are at least a half an hour away, so I don't get them like that often. But pizza is like favorite food. Really, like favorite food is pizza, but I'm a little bit of a pizza snob. And I think that we're entitled to be. We know what we like, especially like I live in the Chicago area. We have our particular pizzas. I don't fit in with the Chicago area like deep dish pizza. I am much more of a thin crust boy. But it depends on my mood. You never know. Usually my husband, though, he's like never deep dish. I'm like once in a blue moon deep dish. So we usually don't get that in our house. That's okay though. So what we're going to do to offset this is I'm just going to kind of make sure that this is all lined up so I can still see that white sort of peeking around, making sure it's pretty consistent throughout the die cut. And honestly, that's pretty good. The only thing is there is a sense of delicateness to dies like this because you're working with smaller pieces. So it's easy to kind of bend and warp, and that's okay. But sometimes you just kind of have to sort of make adjustments to your die cuts to get them to line up appropriately, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put this on later because I think I'm just going to have it be like directly on like this. I love how that aquatini color pops on top of the Catching Rays cardstock that we blended with the orange twist. I think it just looks really fun that way. All right, so let's go in and what are we going to do? We are going to start layering. Let's make sure our stuff is dry. It does look dry, I think. That one was not dry, but everything else appears dry. Great. So let's start doing some adhesive. And I actually have an idea for, I think, a fun way to kind of jazz this card up just a little bit. And we'll get there in a minute. I just got to make sure I've got my Misty ready to go. So we're going to go in. So I'm using, these are the note card postage dies. And we're going to use two different ones. I'm using the largest coordinating ones for this set. And then also, I think it's the second smallest coordinating size. And I have an older Catherine Pooler postage die set, and I unfortunately learned it's been retired. I was going to use it for today's project, but that's okay. We don't need to utilize it. I had this one on hand as well. It's just a little bit of a different size, but we're going to still make the most of it, and it's going to look just as good. So not a worry at all. So we're going to go in, and we're going to kind of offset this. Just kind of like centered, but like tilted, if that makes sense. I want to make sure it's like equal from all the ends, tilted appropriately. I think that's pretty good. So now what we're going to do is I'm realizing this is not all the shimmer is fully dry, but we'll live. Usually I like to wait till all the layers are fully dry, but that's not the case right now, and it's okay. Now, as you can see, this postage is fully covering up the dots of the tufted cover plate, just like I talked about. Knew it would happen. I'm okay with it happening. I did want to make sure this was just slightly tilted because I think it adds a little bit of interest. And we're going to go ahead and take a big acrylic block and put it on top just to sort of make sure everything adheres nicely. Just kind of use this grace period when the liquid adhesive is still a little wet. All right, we're going to set this aside to dry. Now what we're going to do is we're going to adhere the next layer. I really do think that this is a fun color combo of everything together. I kind of think this combines the same sort of feel that we got with the On the Farm or the Farm Fresh collection. I think it was called Farm Fresh was the name of the collection. That was the one 2 releases ago. That's where the shimmers premiered along with some of the enamel dots. And because I want to, I feel like this has color vibes from, oh, phooey. We might have to die cut a fresh one. No, we're not, because I know what I'm going to do to cover that up. We'll be fine. I just got a little bit of shimmer. I'm getting a little too excited and I'm talking too much, but that's okay. All right, so we're just going to kind of center this. But yeah, I definitely get some Farm Fresh color vibes from this palette, but I think it works really nicely for this Trail Mix collection as well, for how we're using it today. All right, so just kind of nudging it into place. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. And then that'll go kind of right in the center. And I've just kind of got to figure out with layering this. Do I want this straight on? I might do this at a slight angle just to kind of layer. I think I am going to do it at an angle like that. And we'll do like things like this. Perfect. Love, love, love that. Okay. So now let's do a little bit of stamping together. So I need to grab a piece of Catherine Pooler favorite cardstock, and I've got this little scrap that I need to use. And I'm also going to grab, where did it go? I had my mini Misty. We're going to utilize this as well. And I am going to stamp out, we're going to do 3 of these stars. And we're going to kind of, that are from the Wilderness Collector stamp set. And we're going to utilize this to sort of add a little bit of embellishment to our card. And I think that that's a fun way to continue the theme of using different fun shapes. I'm just going to kind of mix the different colors we're using. So let's see. So we're going to go in and pick this up. What color do we want to use first? We got to use Aquatini. We haven't used Aquatini yet. I think that that's an important color to use here. So let's stamp out Aquatini. Just like that. Awesome. We'll just kind of wipe it a little bit. Get all that Aquatini ink off. It's really a good release, Jamie. It's so super fun. Catherine Pooler just nails it out of the park with a lot of their releases, and this is definitely one of them. How on earth do you keep your magnets from sliding together? I have no idea. Practice, I suppose. It happens. I think, honestly, you're just sort of lucky. I'm lucky that you haven't seen me do it yet. It happens all the time. Um, I don't really have much of an explanation for that. I'm sorry. I know that it's so, like, not fun to have that happen to us, but you just kind of gotta keep them maybe a little bit further apart. You kind of gotta know what like the distance is gonna need to be for them to make sure that you don't have to worry about them getting too close. And once you figure that out, you gotta just kind of like keep it in mind always when you're crafting. That's probably not a really great explanation, but I guess that's what we're getting right now. So I'm very sorry, Lori. They're super strong. They're very, very strong magnets. That's for sure. All right. And then let's see, what are we going to do next? Let's do right here. And we're definitely going to do Martini. Just kind of pulling in the colors that aren't really appearing on the backgrounds. So Martini will be the last one. Oh, well, I do have washi tape around one of mine as well, Sherry. But I have to change it out at every once in a while, just because I use them so much, and then like the tape kind of gets weak, and it's like different tapes work differently. That teeny tiny Misty doesn't look big enough to keep 2 magnets from binding. Y'all are calling me out with this. Honestly, I have too many Misty magnets, and they have to have a home, I think. And I also, one of my Misty mats, I have one of the waffle flower grit mats in there, so it's like, well, I don't need the magnets, and I had to find a new home for them. So, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that my magnets and my Misty were going to be such a hot item of talk today, but that's okay. All right, so let's go in. We're going to die cut these out. Let's put my stamp set away. Now, originally today, I was going to do a very small amount of alcohol marker coloring, but I ruled against it because I had to switch dyes at the last minute, and my spacing wasn't going to be appropriate to do it. And that's okay. Sometimes you got to pivot. It happens. A lot of times when I do live streams, I'm doing things kind of on the fly anyways. I have a general idea for what I want to do, but it doesn't always turn out that way. Just like today, I wasn't planning on doing these little star elements because I probably would have had them ready in advance, but that's all right. The joys of being able to create live together. So I just didn't get my die cutting machine out, but that's okay because there's one directly behind me that I can grab. All right, so we're just going to kind of line this up. Now, I am using some mint tape, and that's from scrapbook.com. It does come in 4 different sizes. I don't have it linked below right now, but I can do it after today's live. The mint tape comes in 4-inch width. It also comes in 1-inch, half-inch, and quarter-inch. And I would say you're probably going to utilize 1-inch and half-inch the most, is my thought. So let's go. I'm getting my little scout ready to go. Just making sure I've got the right plate combinations. I think this is right, but I don't use my mini die cutting machine as much as I should. So I always kind of forget what my plate combo needs to be. But I think I got it. Yay. All right, so we've got star number 1. I have more trouble with my magnets locking on my tweezers and scissors. Ugh, not fun. Not fun at all. All right, let's cut out our getaway colored star. All right, so let's talk while I'm die cutting about things coming up in the coming week for to keep an eye out for. So first and foremost, if you guys don't follow me already on Instagram, you're going to want to this upcoming week, particularly middle of the week, as I have a fun little adventure planned. And I'm excited to take you guys along with me for part of it. And so keep an eye particularly on my Instagram stories. Because you're not gonna, you might not know, but I'm gonna pop up somewhere and we're gonna have some crafty fun. So can't give too many details yet. Y'all are the only ones that know. Aside from friends and family that I've told that I'm going out of town. But keep an eye, particularly on Tuesday, for a little bit of an adventure that it's going to wrap up on Wednesday. So I can't wait to show you guys what's going on. Next week, like I also said, is the Kindred Stamps April release. It'll go live at 8 a.m. Pacific time on Friday. That would be Friday the 24th. So if you haven't already, make sure to keep an eye on the fan club for sneaks that'll be starting tomorrow. I'm actually wrapping up my projects today, so I'm really excited to share them with you. I love the set that I'm working with. It's one that I've been waiting for a chunk of time. So that's super exciting. I will also be going live next week on on Saturday, like usual, and we're going to be playing with some Pretty Pink Posh products. There will be a reason why, so definitely keep an eye on that as well, because we'll have some fun with some Pretty Pink Posh items, playing with some flower and sweet colors. That it's going to be a lot of fun. Bright, bold cards. Can't wait to take you along for that as well. So, all right, let's start kind of layering this together. So what we're going to do is we're going to put thanks like that, yeah, because we're not gonna do it like that, I don't think. No, I don't like that. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some liquid adhesive on the back of our sentiment. You guys like adventures, you guys are funny. It'll be fun, I promise. So like I said, Justin Out by Justin on Instagram. If you don't follow me already, be sure to. That's probably where the bulk of my share is going to be. Of course, I'll be talking about it during my live next week, so you won't miss the details. You just won't see them as they're happening. So excited for all of those things. All right. Payday. Yes, absolutely. Ugh, isn't Pretty Pink Posh? They come out with so many fun stuff. And it's like Paulina with Pretty Pink Posh has the designs for some of my favorite die cuts. They're just, she really comes up with some fantastic ways to utilize her products and then to also come up with like add-on sets for the future. I just think it's brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. All right, so we're gonna go in. We're gonna adhere this down just like this. Awesome. And then let's add a little bit of weight. So, yay. I'm so glad that you guys love Pretty Pink Posh too. They're wonderful. Honest to God, I've had such a pleasure working with the Pretty Pink Posh team. It's so many creative people, so many wonderful ideas, so many just fun design styles that there's like so much inspiration. If you guys aren't a part yet of the Facebook fan group, make sure to be. I think it's called Pretty Pink Prosh Friends, and there's so much inspiration there. And usually that's where sneak peeks of anything coming up goes first. So be sure to keep an eye on that. All right, so we've got our sentiment. And this is going to go, we're going to kind of tilt it like that. And let's use some foam tape. We're going to use 3mm foam strips. And this is for the pure reason that I didn't change out what I was using in my description. Usually for something like this, it's probably better to use a product that is a little bit wider and the one that you also have your scissors out for, which I clearly do not right now, and that's okay. So let's grab my scissors and an extra sheet in case I need it. It's always something, right? So I'm just going to kind of snip these just like that. And then just like that. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is remove our backing pieces. Oh, phooey, my fingers are just a little too sticky to fully get these off. So let's see, let's go in. Just like that. Awesome. All right, clean that up just a little bit. And then let's get this onto a card base before we start embellishing. So I've got my card base ready to go. Perfect. I love the postage vibe of this. I think it just works so nicely. I also think it just adds a really nice detailed edge instead of just using like straight edge shapes. That's kind of one of my tips and tricks when crafting is like if you want to make a simple design pop, use like a die cut with a stitched edge, use something that's not necessarily a straight edge die cut like a postage die. Like it really helps amp up that final sort of project element to add those finishing touches to make it look a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more detailed, and just all around fun. So, all right, so we're going to go in. Let's add in some of our little embellishments. So I do want to put a star up here so it covers up that little area that I accidentally got some shimmer on, just to sort of cover it up nicely. So just like that. And then let's see. Ooh, you know what we're going to do is we're going to do these like there. And also like there, just to kind of spread them out a little bit. And then we're also going to go in and add some sequins. And I always like to do my embellishments after adding it to a card base, just because when using liquid adhesive for your embellishments, I feel like you then go and put it onto a card base and it's easy to disturb them. So I like to not necessarily do them before I put it on a card base. I like doing it after the fact. So, all right, so we've got our little stars. Now let's go in. I've got my Crater Lake sequins. And I am going to, let's go in and put them in. I've got this little tray and it'll make it easy for me to put them back in. So I'm just going to kind of drop them in there just like that. And then what we can do is just sort of embellish this. See, and this is when I get quiet, is when I'm working with little sequins, which kind of cracks me up. It's just like, oh, it's like sequins are kind of my downfall. And this one's got a little bit of like a straggler piece on there. So we're going to pull that up. We're going to put a different one down. I just feel like sequins give me a hard time. What about you guys? Do you ever struggle with where to put sequins or just kind of dealing with them in general? I have my little pick tool that I probably should be using as well. But I feel like when they're smaller, it's hard to use the pick tool successfully. I don't know. I don't know. Just little Justin things. All right, let's see. Let's go in. Put this one right there. I love the little flat sequins. I'm kind of a sucker for them just because they're super easy to use. But I don't use them all the time just because I want my cards to look kind of varied. I don't like to use the same sequin shape over and over. I like to make sure everything kind of looks a little intentional, a little varied. And I'm looking right now and I have all of these sequins on the right side of my card and not a single one on the left side. So we're definitely going to go in and balance this out just a little bit. So let's do a sequin like right here. We'll do a bigger sequin. See, y'all, sequins are just not my friends. Not often one of my like cheerleaders, you know? All right, so let's go in and do another sequin. Trying to work in odd numbers the best that I can. Also trying to not let my sequins cause too much like adhesive seepage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6. So if I add one more, that's 7. And one last sequin. What do we think? You are very welcome. I'm glad that you've learned some new things about sequin placement. I think I still have things to learn about sequin placement, but I think that this is pretty. I think that working in odd numbers is kind of key. And I also think like tighter clusters are better than like just spreading them out everywhere, if that makes sense. So, all right, so I've got this. And I think our card is basically completed. These are the Crater Lake sequins. They're like an iridescent clear sequin, which I do love. They're from Catherine Pooler as well. I'll show you guys the jar in a second. So here's the lid, Crater Lake, and then it's just a nice little jar of little clear iridescent sequins. So super pretty. All right, so we've got our card. It's all done. And I think this came together really nicely. I think it's pretty a simple layout. I don't think there's too much going on. We have just the right amount of colors. We've got our little palette that we've talked about. We've utilized the brand new Getaway color, which I think is fantastic. If you guys haven't yet snagged the Getaway and you color and you are a Catherine Pooler ink fan, you're definitely going to want it, especially if you're a fan of like corals or peach colors. They're super wonderful. It's a super great color to use. Hello, Alex. Thanks for stopping by. So you're definitely going to want to see that Getaway color. I love it. And I love that you can play around with it using that creamsicle paper. It pops really nicely on there. But remember, so our color palette we used the Getaway ink, Catching Rays, Orange Twist, Martini, and Aquatini. Those were our Martini and Aquatini. Maybe they were meant to always be used together, right? So super, super fun, great color palette, packs a lot of color. You know I like my party inks. We also utilize the Wilderness Collector stamp set to make our own pattern paper, which we did for this little background element that we stamped out using those fun badges. We used the new tufted cover plate die as well to give that Martini background piece a nice little bit of decorative features to it. And then we finished it out with a nice bold thanks sentiment. I love how this looks. I think that this is going to be super fun to pop in the mail for someone. You never can have too many thank you cards, right? It's like thank you cards and happy birthday cards are some things that you just always will benefit from having on hand, in addition to just a simple hello card and the unfortunate needing to have a sympathy card on hand as well. Maybe not a whole load of them, but a couple of them would be helpful. Okay, I wanted to show you guys the other cards that I've made from this release, just so you can kind of picture other things that you can make with it. So I'm going to show you guys first the 2 cards that I've published. So first, this was the one I showed a sneak of earlier in the week, and this utilizes some of the products that we use today. So this is that Wilderness Collector stamp set, but I colored the badge up using my Olo markers. I also used that tufted cover plate die, but as you can see where all those center die cuts are, I used Catching Rays cardstock behind it. So this is Aquatini cardstock, ink blended with Uptown ink with the Catching Rays cardstock behind it just to peek through. Now, this fun pattern, this is from the new Trail Mix collection of pattern paper. It's a fun sort of map print that's included, and you can see the different colors in here that the palette recommends using with this collection. So that was one card. The other one, if you guys haven't checked out already, I actually have a video that I published on release day from Wednesday using this card. This card also uses that tufted cover plate die, and I took an approach where I took the pattern paper. There's one pattern that's got lines of all of these fun little adventure words, and I snipped them apart and I decided to use them as like magnetic poetry that you would see like for a fridge, and just make a fun little piece for that. This one also has that catching rays paper behind this ink. Behind the paper that we cut with the tufted cover dies. I guess I just really like using the catching rays paper as like the backing piece. But anyways, so we've got that. I colored up both of these stamps using the Olo markers, just like I did with this. And then this is favorite white cardstock that I then smeared the getaway ink over. So this is a really good representation for how that getaway ink is meant to look. So it looks really, really fun. The last card I have not shared on social media yet. It's going to be shared, I believe, tomorrow. So I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of a sneak peek of the last card that I made using this collection. Little perks and benefits of being here, you know? So let me grab that one. And this one also uses a new product that is not immediately within, I see it on the other side of my desk. But this is the last card that I created. I used a congrats die, and I sort of also made that colored pattern paper that we sort of implemented for this live stream today. And this is just a simple congrats card. This utilizes the trail mix pattern paper. You can get a little bit of an idea where these words come from, where I snipped them apart. And then I also colored up more badges using my Olo markers, using kind of that suggested color palette, and then stamped out my own pattern paper using that getaway ink. And then I used this congrats comes from the same die set that this thanks comes from. So if you guys like this one and you like this sentiment as well, you're definitely going to want to get that sort of that collection. It is the scripted sentiments trio words, and it's definitely going to be one that you're going to add to your collection. Now, one thing that this uses that I haven't talked about yet, let me grab it. There are some brand new embossing powders with this release as well, one of which is called Rusted Roof, and that's actually my sentiment I have embossed with this Rusted Roof embossing powder. So it was really fun to just sort of stamp out some embossing ink and then fully heat emboss this sentiment to have kind of a fun reflective element that you can kind of catch it. You can see that reflectiveness. So super, super fun. Okay, one item before we switch it back to my face that I want to talk about for a second. Laurie says, do you specifically do Catherine Pooler? I'm a brand ambassador for Catherine Pooler, so it's not the only brand that I work with. But when it's a Catherine Pooler release week, I definitely like to talk about the projects I've made, what I like about the sets, what I think you guys would like with it. So I know it comes across like a little, I'm not trying to be sales pitchy. It's just, I like to make sure to feature the most recent products that I have in my hands that you guys can now get yourselves, and what I like the most I think you'd benefit from grabbing. So I work with other brands, not just Catherine Pooler, but because Catherine Pooler release week was this week, I tried to feature that. One thing I want to talk about, and you're going to think for a second that my workspace is bare, but I actually want to talk about my glass mat for a second. So my glass mat comes from Glassboard Studios, and Glassboard Studios has really made some fantastic and high quality magnetic boards that you're able to use, and they're super easy to clean with your craft space. They have done a fantastic job trying to, with prices being raised for supplies, have kept their prices the same is what I'm saying. However, they have announced, and I can share with you guys, that come May 1st, because of increases in their materials, tariffs on products that they have purchased, they utilize to make these mats, because of those increases, they are going to have to increase the price of their product because they can no longer fully absorb the price increases. So I did want to pass that information along to you guys, just because if you've been on the fence about getting one of these glass mats, they're really nice. Right now I'm using, this is an 18-inch. Let me see if I can zoom out at all. See, now you can see my messy workspace. This one is 18 inches by 24. 18 by 24? Yes, that's exactly what it is. And this is in the gray color. It is a magnetic mat, so they've got different items like these pawn magnets that you can use. I also have some bar magnets. I have a whole plethora of different things that you can use. I have a whole bin under my desk. It's just going to be a little hard for me to pull out right now. But I guess what I'm getting at right now is if this is something that you guys were considering wanting to purchase sometime in the future, I would put a little bit of emphasis on considering buying it before May 1st. In addition to this, I do have a 15% off coupon code listed in my description that you guys can utilize if you want to go ahead and save on your purchase. You do get 15% off. Let me see. What is the coupon code? I think it's just my name. Yes, so at the very, very bottom of my description for this video, it is code Justin, Justin. You guys can get 15% off your total purchase. So if it's something you're thinking about, not trying to be sales pitchy, just trying to help you from not having to pay for the larger fee when they do have to issue that price increase later on. So something to keep in mind. All right, let's go ahead. We're gonna switch this back to my face. And there we go. So hello, I am back on, and you guys seen my face the whole time. But thank you all so very much for stopping by today and for making this adorable thank you card. I think this turned out really fun. I'm going to move my hand for a second. If you can see where I moved my hand, I actually have the card we made last week over there. So I think this one is going to replace it, and you guys will see it next week. I'll make sure to get this photographed, uploaded to my blog, and then I'll make some changes to the description below because I think there was one or two products that I didn't link. I will make sure to do that. Let's see, we've got a couple questions that have come in. We've got Alex. For the glass mat for the size, I use this is a 24 by 18 inch in gray. I also have it in white as well. I also have, I think it's a 9 by 12 smaller mat that I use. It's actually, it's a Kindred Stamps mat, but they actually made it. So anyway, so that's the size that I use if you're considering with the glass mat. So like I said, thanks everybody for stopping by today. We'll be back next week with another live stream demonstration on April 25th. I will let you know what time. I don't know if it's going to be at 1 p.m. as usual, but I will post in advance just so you guys have a little bit of a heads up for when we can craft together next. So thank you so very much for stopping by today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Saturday and your weekend. And I hope that this inspires you to go in and make a super colorful thank you card that you can maybe even stamp out your own pattern paper like we did today. Thank you all once again. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.